I don't want to wake up one morning saying, I want to transition. I want to move to another chapter, but everything's going in and out of me. It's all about me. I want it to be an opportunity for people to be a part of something really special that we're building, and then to be able to take personal ownership.
Welcome to the Business Builder Way podcast, where we help business builders grow leadership skills and wisdom and stay grounded through hero stories. So let's get after it. Hey, Matt Kulp, good to have you with us today on the Business Builder Way. And what we're doing with this series of podcast interviews, YouTube videos, is sharing who the business builders are, who you are, what you're building, what you're creating in business and in life also, since that's important to us. So Matt, just a pretty open forum here. Could you share a little bit about who you are and what you're building, and both life and business?
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Wayne, for having me, and grateful for the opportunity to be a part of your community and the business builder community. It's just been an awesome opportunity to be a part of others' lives, to pour into others, and not to sound selfish, but also receive as well. And, I'd say that's a big part of who does Matt Kulp want to be? Who do I desire to be? Is someone who pours into others, whether that be through mentorship or just helping other people grow, whether it be in business or whether it be my family or whether it be on the nonprofit side of things. So I have a lot of involvement with Men of Iron, which is being a part of other men's lives and walking alongside them. So that's who I desire to be, is someone who invests in others, not from a dollar perspective, but from a perspective of being in person with someone else. So I'm grateful for my wife and 4 children, and started with legacy planning 21 years ago. Actually, August 14th was technically that 21st anniversary. So that's exciting. It's humbling to think back over the last 21 years, just the amount of growth. And you look back, and I think we oftentimes think about all the good things, but then we also think about some of the pain and the character building opportunities that we went through over that 21 years. And it's just humbling to just kind of look over that period of time. I mean, when I started with Legacy, we were just a small little shop, and started from ground zero of trying to build a client base around comprehensive financial planning. And we've continued to build that and grow that out, and specifically helping business owners figure out their future plans around their business and transitioning, and how they have a successful transition. Because when you dig down in the numbers, most business owners don't transition on their terms. They don't transition the way they thought they would when they were going through it. And we're just trying to help that desired outcome become reality. But it's been a great journey. We're now a firm of approximately 35 people in 3 different locations. And to be in a leadership position I'm grateful for. I don't take it for granted by any means. We're as good as our people are. And that starts with us, who are the leaders in our firm.
So you're a partner of Legacy. You're not the founder, but you're a partner, and essentially you're owning your piece of the business. So I'm going like this with my hands and putting it out on audio. People wouldn't see that, but there's a chunk, and that's your piece. And you're working with business owners almost exclusively, and you're building your own business. You're a partner, one of several, but this is it. So we have people in our group who are founders. We have people who have built a business and sold it. We have people who are second generation family. And I just earlier today was working with one of our members who's actually the 3rd owner that came from within the business. So he's not a family member, but it's transitioned multiple times to employees who were key employees who then went out and borrowed money to be able to buy the business. In your case, you're a partner, you've kind of grown up in this business, you got the chunk right there. So there's 2 things I'm interested in. I want to ask a bit about like how you help business owners, because you bring something really unique to our community, because they get to have your brain and mind, whether they're a client of yours or not, which is really beneficial. I feel run things past you and hear the things you think about. And then also, as you said, you're building your team and your group. So paint a picture of what does your group look like? It's you and Corey, is in our right-handers group. She's your right-hand person, integrator, some people might call her. And then you have other junior advisors and things on your team. So could you paint the picture of your business like that so people could understand?
Yeah, you bet. So kind of starting from like the firm perspective of it and the ownership. So I'm a partner with 5 other partners. There's 6 of us in total. And I would consider myself a second generation owner. So we're not a family owned business, but as you mentioned, I'm not a founder. So I've bought into Legacy, our founder, Jan Grable. So we have a first generation of owners, and then we have a second generation of owners currently. And our goal is to succeed them, to build continuity in the business, and that we eventually have a third generation of owners. So what comes with that responsibility as an owner, and we can't just show up, like we got to show up and we've got to be intentional. And part of that is that we have 4 main pieces of our business, or if you want to call it divisions or segments of our business. And that first is, in no specific order, is high net worth families. So our office in Westchester, Rob Wormuth and Kevin Donahue drive that team in Westchester, working with high net worth clients. So that's like net worth of 50 million or more. There might be a business involved in that. That might be generational wealth, and they help in that management. They have a process around that. The segment that I'm helping to drive is business transition, and helping business owners to think way in advance of their transition of what they want it to look like, so that when they get there, things happen the way that they had planned or wanted them to happen years in advance. The slogan I like to share is time equals options. So the more time you have, the more options you have. The less time you have, in most cases, the less options you have. So I help to drive the team. As you mentioned, Corey Neath, I would say officially she's our integrator. I'm more of the visionary of our team. Our team is comprised of 8 people, and Corey has got her finger on the pulse, managing the day-to-day operations of making sure that we're running as smoothly as we possibly can. Continuous improvement. That's one thing that we're working on right now is lean management, and trying to be as effective as we possibly can, with our people being a critical piece of that improvement. And then the other part of that too is my practitioner. So we are working directly as a team with our people, or with our clients, I should say, and helping them with designing their specific customized plan around what they're trying to accomplish. And that's really the operational side of it. Once we have someone that becomes a client, I mean, we have clients that have been with us for well over 30 years. Jan Grable has been in this business for over 40 years. But essentially, there's a service component that our team manages. So I'm a partner. I would say I'm a leader for our segment, which we call Business Owner Advisory Services. And then I'm a practitioner as well.
Nice. Yeah. And you're in a business where, as you said, you're a practitioner. So you've been the expert. You're the one that works with these family business owners who may be 20 years from transitioning in the business, or 10 or 5, as you said, the more time for them, the better. But you've been the expert, you've been the technician, you've been the one that has helped them understand and anticipate what their likely financial needs are when they transition the business, so that they can prepare. And you coordinate with a business broker expert who can do evaluation today and help them see the things they'd need to do to get the business to the place where they'd want it to be, and know what the different options are for internal transfers, external, et cetera, so that they don't get to that spot and they're like, I don't seem to have any options. It's not worth what I thought it was, et cetera. So you're doing that. And that's a hard thing, because of the high skill level knowledge required to transition to other people. But you've been working in that team of 8 to put processes around how to serve those clients. And you've been putting time and energy into developing humans so that they're just as capable of handling those situations as you are, right? You've been on a real journey to build a real business in an industry where a lot of times the one who is the financial planner really does most of the work, and they're really necessary, and they can't take time off, and they would have a hard time someday transitioning. When did you make the decision that you wanted to really turn this thing into a business that you would be able to get some freedom from, should you choose to, should you want to?
Yeah, so I'd say a couple things is one of the huge benefits that I have as a practitioner working with business owners is I get to see every day that I'm working and communicating with our business owner clients. I get to see into a window of what they're going through in their life, in their business, in their family, in their community. And I've seen those who have done it really, really well and those who have not, and everything in between. So I've taken a lot of notes. You know, you gave me this great book. I take a lot of notes in this because I document that, and I want to remember that, because I'm like, wow, how did they do that? Because I want to do that. And one of the things that I saw, and I'm going to give credit to Tom Garrity at Compass Point Consulting on this, is there's this term language called hub and spoke. So if you think about a wheel on a bike, you got the hub in the middle and you got all the spokes around it, right? And many businesses can unintentionally become a hub and spoke, meaning the owner is that hub and the spoke is all the decisions that are being made on a daily basis, meaning people are on the outside of those spokes, and they're going, if a business is a hub and spoke where it relies on that business owner to be there every single day to make those decisions, which there's many of them that come in and out of that. If people are not empowered to be able to make some of those decisions, then that business becomes a hub and spoke business, which means that if you take the hub out of the middle of that wheel, you got major problems. That wheel's going to collapse. Or that business isn't worth maybe what someone thought it was worth, because all the value, or the majority of the value outside of any assets they have, is in that business owner. And if you take that business owner out, well, there goes your value. Who wants to pay for that? So I recognized that years ago in the work that I had done with Tom Garrity and seeing him in action, working with family businesses and privately held, closely held businesses. And I was like, I do not want to be that hub and spoke. I don't want to wake up one morning saying, I want to transition. I want to move to another chapter, but everything's going in and out of me. It's all about me. I didn't want it to be all about me. I don't want it to be all about me. I want it to be an opportunity for people to be a part of something really special that we're building, and them to be able to take personal ownership of saying, hey, I was a part of creating that. And I mean, to me, I've always been a team guy. The sports that I grew up playing, football, baseball, wrestling, and even though wrestling's an individual sport, it's very team-based, because you've got to break through a lot of different barriers of working together, grinding to build, to be able to perform. And that's no different here. So I would say that's those two examples of seeing how others have done it well or not done it well and everything between. And then the experience with the hub and spoke through Tom Garrity and seeing that in play on how teams start to get built. And this is what we talk about often in our weekly business builder group is just that. Like, I would say probably the majority, maybe 80 to 90% of our conversations that we have in our weekly business builder is about people, about developing people, about helping people step up, or maybe they're going through a law. Like, how do we help elevate their game? Because we want to see them grow. We care about them and we want to keep them. And I think a big part of helping people stay and have a long tenure with a business is helping them to grow as a person, which doesn't always feel good, right? There's character building opportunities there, but that's the necessary stuff that has to happen in order to avoid that hub and spoke.
Got it. So recently you went on a 3-week vacation, and I think that's important to share and talk about here, because one thing is, I know that had to do with helping you not be stuck in the hub and spoke, is partially why you did a 3-week vacation, but also you did a big 3-week vacation because you're working to be an intentional dad and parent, and it's fun. And a lot of people want to be an entrepreneur to get freedom, and they never quite get it. And you just put that thing in your calendar, and then with the help of your team made it happen. So could you talk a little bit about the 3-week vacation?
Yeah, you bet. So that 3-week vacation, I would say, was more of a sabbatical versus vacation, because oftentimes when we think of vacation, we think about like just kicking our feet back and, hey, this is great 3 weeks. It was anything but. So I'm big into serving, as I mentioned earlier, just the servant leadership mentality of putting others before ourselves. We talk about humility. Well, I think humility starts with thinking of oneself less. So that 3-week sabbatical, we had planned for it at the end of 2022. Corey and I sat down and said, hey, like, I think we need to do this for a couple reasons. Obviously, there was a personal element to it, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then the second piece of it was allowing people to grow. I wanted to see, what am I blind to? Where am I holding other people back from growing because I'm coming in and sometimes like I'm a bull in a china shop? Like, until we actually remove ourselves from that, then we can really truly see where we may have been blind. And also too, so for Corey, that gave her the opportunity to have her hands on the wheel and really drive it, and really actually talked about this morning. I'm in a Wednesday morning Bible study with about 10 to 12 other men. And just the one gentleman just talked about his experience as a father and just shared about how he had hit turbulent times with his son, and that sometimes you just got to let your kids fail. Like, there's successes in those failures. And that was some of the premise behind this. Not to say that I expected my team to fail, but to give them that opportunity to go get it. And hey, you know what? We might swing and miss. And that's okay, because that's a learning opportunity. And then on the personal side of it, this was the first year we did this, where we did a family missions trip. We went down and we served in Page, West Virginia. It was an outstanding experience. It was hot. They were long days. We were helping families in that community down there, really with work projects. Just to serve others in that capacity was, I just say, really good for our hearts, but also too, as parents, you're in a daily grind, and we have almost 3 teenagers. It's just like the wires seem to start to get somewhat disconnected in the teen years, and we just want to keep them grounded and get outside of our small little pond and see what other people go through in the world. So that was part of that big sabbatical. And then also too, we did do some travel. My son's heavily involved in baseball, and we made a trip down to Georgia, and then we had a couple of days in between. But it was a very busy 3 weeks. It was a successful 3 weeks. Definitely felt a new level of energy. I was super excited coming back from our team and just getting the reports, but then also seeing the growth of others. And were there some little fires? Yeah, some little stuff, but like, there was no 911 emergencies. I mean, there were some things that came up, and the team handled it, and the team did a great job at it. And it was a pretty awesome experience.
So one thing you mentioned there was baseball, and I get as much out of being in Business Builders as everybody who's a member does, I think, maybe more. And so I've got like a dream job, and I learned from you sharing openly the journey of your son, who is pretty big into baseball, and you've been working with him, helping to create opportunities so that he can pursue his dream of collegiate baseball at a high level. And he's a very good pitcher. And so the things that you show us about him, and it's obvious to me, this is not a thing where Matt always wanted to be a pro athlete, and so you're living your life through your son. It's not that. It's, you are just trying to help him, and it's definitely his dream and his thing. And I don't know that there's I don't really have a real question about that. I just want to acknowledge that it's helpful to me and other people in your group, and when you share openly, and same thing with anybody else, the things that they're helping create in life and their family. You just talking about going to a Bible study with 12 other men, and for me to hear, so Matt is investing that time in those other people and in his own spiritual development. That open sharing is really helpful. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you bet. And I'll just mention one quick thing on that is, we do have 4 children, and I'll say that just like in our team, my wife, Christine, and I are trying to help our kids find their sweet spot, because I'm a big believer that we are all very uniquely created. that we have been built a certain way to do certain things. And part of our journey in this life is to figure out the things that we're really good at and in areas where we can provide influence, but also to understand that there might be some things that we're not as good at, and that we don't necessarily need to focus on those things, but let's focus on where we can get a mile deep and an inch wide. And that's what we're trying to help our kids do, so that as they're finding their sweet spot, to invest in them, encourage them, understand there's going to be failures along the way, but again, those are a lot of times our successes, but help them find the things that they've been uniquely created at and potentially can drive some influence in. So we're seeing that right now with our son, who's our oldest, but then each of our three daughters, we're helping them in that process too. So like right now, he's getting a little bit of the limelight, but there's some really awesome successes that we're just seeing in our daughters that is really exciting and encouraging, because at home we talk about like, yeah, athletics are great and whatnot, but eventually there's going to be a last page to that chapter. And that's not how we define ourselves, or that's not how we should define ourselves, right? We should just define ourselves in how we've been uniquely built to do certain things that we can be really, really good at, and we can help others with doing that. So just wanted to put that out there as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. Two more questions. One is, so I have observed you going on a health journey, an intentional health journey. Partially what we're doing in Business Builders is being intentional about creating our business. And we talk about profit and loss, and we talk about hiring people and sales and marketing and how to use the latest artificial intelligence tools. We work together to do that. And we read books that are very business focused. And if a business builder isn't healthy mentally, spiritually, physically, the business is probably going to suffer and not thrive, and they're just not going to find as much joy. So I know that you've worked with Buddy Tuchinski, who's another member of the group, and his business is integrative health, and you've gone on that journey. Can you share a little bit about what you're doing and what you're pursuing in the area of health?
Yeah, you bet. So the experience has been great with Buddy, both from, I'll say, so some things that I have in my life personally are, I have a family history of heart disease. And I'd also say some of my history in athletics, I've got things going on in my back that I've got damage. I've got back damage. And like one of my goals in life is not to have back surgery. So for me, it means that I need to be proactive. And that's how I would define Peak Integrative, is a proactive approach to your health. So whether that's your diet, whether that's your exercise, whether that's what kind of tests you get done, like blood tests earlier this year. And now we're proactively identified a couple things like, hey, this is a little high. We need to get better in this. Okay, now how do we do that? All right, well, here's what we got to do to be proactive. The same thing as far as like bodily health. Like if I can't move because my back's all knotted up, well, how am I going to exercise? Right. So Buddy is helping me on that side of things to try to be able to live an active lifestyle. And the other piece is like, I just got done doing a sleep study test.
Oh.
I'll also say that I applied for life insurance just real quick, which just blows my mind, because like a life insurance company is like, why are you doing a sleep study test? It wasn't, yes, they said, hey, we think you should do that. And I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be proactive. And the insurance company's like, what's wrong? Why did you do this? I'm like, there's nothing wrong. I just want to be proactive. So anyway, that's how I would define Peak Integrative. It's a proactive versus reactive strategy to our health and to trying to potentially avoid some of the pitfalls that might happen in the next 5, 10, or.
Well, it's proactive and it's co-created, meaning that they require the person who's the client, you in this case, to do their part too, which you are. Last question is, Matt, I want to help people that join to get an idea of how to do Business Builders well, how to use this program. And this could extend to any mastermind group they're in or any coaching retreat that somebody would go on, not just limited to what we do. But I think you do the work that we do really well. In fact, I caught you taking a nap at the last time we had a live event on the grass, and you're laughing. But
in the break, by the way, in the break.
during a break time. But that was an example of you doing some intentional work. So what pointers would you give to somebody for how to really engage with mastermind coaching process, live events? How do they get the most out of our program or somebody else's?
Yeah, so my perspective is when I join Business Builders, is my mentality is to try to give more than I receive. Again, coming back from a servant leadership perspective, if I can pour into others, like that creates accountability with others of wanting to do the same thing. And that's what I see in our group, is that our group shows up. It shows up intentionally of wanting to pour into others before they're looking to get something out of it. So I think that is number one. And I'd say number two is to document, keep notes, journal. That's why I've got this. I'm getting ready to get through the first, I do both sides of the page, but journal. I can look back to April 16th, 2021, when I started writing these notes, and all our weekly meetings. Like I can go back and look and see what someone had shared or what was on their mind or what was troubling them and be able to reference that. So I think if we can do those two things really well, we have a great experience.
Super. So it's the journal in particular and keeping that. It's really great.
And who knows, you might be able to write a book one day. I don't know.
For sure. Matt, thanks so much for showing up every week in our group. And thanks for showing up today to share some experience and strength and hope with others. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate you. And I'm grateful to be a part of your Business Builder Camp. What you've designed is just fantastic. And I love being a part of it. So thanks for letting me into your community.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning into the Business Builder Way podcast. If this episode spoke to you, click that subscribe button and share it with a friend. That's how this message gets out into the world. If it is helpful for us to have a short conversation, I'd love to do that. Send me an email at wayne@businessbuildercamp.com.